Hello, everyone, and welcome to UBS Trending. I'm Anthony Pastore. The amount of uncertainty in the world and in the markets is being felt by all of us, and this uncertainty can be very emotional and cause us as investors to make rash decisions out of fear or even a desire to protect ourselves. I'm joined today by Katie Williams and Ainsley Carbone to discuss how to regain your clarity in these moments and also feel more confident in your decisions. So Katie and Ainsley, thank you. Katie, I love the blog you wrote. I thought it was really, really great how at the top of the article you wrote how you calm your daughter down. Before we get into it, how do you do that? Because I would love to hear, because I know there are a lot of parents out there who would love to hear what you do.
Well, I will say if you're a parent, you're probably really familiar with Daniel Tiger. He's a cartoon character. And I've learned a lot about parenting from him personally. But one of the main lessons we've used with our kids is when they would get really upset and wouldn't be able to hear or listen, we would calm them down by using one of his phrases, which was, when you feel so mad that you want to roar, take a deep breath and count to 4. And I have used that multiple times, not only for my children, but for myself when I find myself getting ramped up and need to recenter.
Yeah, the reason why I was so thank you for sharing that, because it's in the blog that you wrote, which is titled "Take a Deep Breath." So it's perfectly in tune with the story that you told to kick off this conversation. Because right now, many of us who are watching the news and watching the markets, there's so much to digest, and there is so much uncertainty in the world. So there is a lot of fear, and we all do need to take that breath and count to 4. So I'm going to take that with me after reading this article. But let me ask you, Katie, why is maybe now perhaps not the right time to be making big changes to switch it to the financial side of the story to our financial plans? Because that's really what the question is here today.
Well, exactly. And, uncertainty in the world, no matter where it is the main driver of volatility in the markets. And, as investors, when we feel this, it can create, like you said, feelings of emotions, high emotions, and anxiety. And as a result, we feel this need to react and make a change in our portfolio for whatever reason. And so really what I want everyone to do is, in these moments, this is really hard and I understand to do, but is to take that deep breath and think and take a step back and say, okay, has anything fundamentally changed in my situation that would warrant a change? Or is what I'm going through right now and this desire to make a change actually being fueled by my emotions?
Yeah, and it is always a good reminder to seek clarity and try to remain objective to avoid, obviously, long-term consequences from what you might call a short-sighted decision. So Ainsley, what's the first question that we should be considering as investors in these types of moments? Because we've dealt with uncertainty for the last 2 years. Before that, we've dealt with it with other scenarios like financial crises and recessions. We had the pandemic. Now we're concerned about what's going on with the war in Ukraine, and obviously all of the aftermath of that and what's ongoing in the humanitarian crisis. There's an unending number of things to be concerned about. So what should we consider right now?
You're right. There's certainly a lot going on, but in times of uncertainty, I think it can be extremely comforting to know that you're going to be able to pay your bills on time, and you're going to be able to maintain your lifestyle. So I think a good starting point is to ask yourself whether you have enough cash resources to meet your needs in the near term. Are you going to be able to pay your bills on time regardless of what's going on in the market? And this is really where our liquidity, longevity, legacy framework comes into play, in particular the liquidity strategy. In this strategy, we see that it typically consists of assets and resources that you might need to fund your lifestyle for the next 3 to 5 years. And the reason why we suggest that you set these assets and resources aside separate from the rest of your portfolio is because although market volatility can be extremely painful, we know this, but typically it usually only takes a few years for the stock market to fully recoup the bear market losses, and it's even less time if you have a balanced and diversified portfolio. So the value of a well-funded liquidity strategy, the value that comes from knowing that you have the resources that you need to meet your needs over the near term, that can give you a lot of confidence, and it gives you the confidence that you'll be able to maintain your lifestyle regardless of what's going on in the market. And this is something that you can do without needing to sell your long-term risk assets, which would end up locking in otherwise temporary losses.
Right. So it is about feeling confident about your cash reserves, how healthy they are. You have enough money to fund, like you said, paying your bills, et cetera. But you know what? It's all well and good, and we're all sitting here talking, cerebrally and from our brains, but there's a lot of emotion out there. And a lot of people are thinking, you know what? No, this time it is different. This is a huge situation that's happening in Europe, in Ukraine, and we're watching it unfold on our televisions, on our mobile devices. You can't wake up in the morning without seeing a million headlines that just seem doom and gloom and negative, which they are. So how can you tell someone who's saying this time it's different that they need to consider other alternatives, or they have to feel more confident in what they have when it comes to their portfolios?
So I think we can agree that we've all been there. It's extremely difficult to separate yourself from your emotions and approach these oftentimes very difficult decisions with an objective perspective. So if you still find that you're tempted to make adjustments to your plan, stop and ask yourself, what has changed about your long-term investment portfolio that would warrant such action? Have your near-term or your long-term goals changed? If they haven't changed, are you still on track to meet those goals? And this is really one of the benefits of having a financial plan is it helps you approach these difficult decisions through the lens of meeting your financial goals. And by doing so, it can help you avoid letting your emotions get in the way of your financial success. So of course, if you sit down and you look at your financial plan and you realize that you're no longer on track to meet your goals, meet your objectives, then of course you're going to want to work with your financial advisor. They can give you those steps. They can work with you to identify the actions that you can take to get back on track. But ultimately, sitting down with your financial advisor and looking at your financial plan, that's what you need to do in order to put these headlines into context. And if going through that process, you find that you are in fact still on track to meet your goals, then it's going to give you peace of mind and it's going to give you the confidence that you need to stay on track.
Yeah, peace of mind is a really, I'm glad you said that, because with everything going on in the world, we might have concerns, but at least if you could think about, okay, on my financial side of my life, I have peace of mind because I know I did the plan. I worked with my advisor, and we talked about all of my needs that are current and long-term. So, okay, I don't have to worry about that. So that actually feels like a really good way to do it and sort of allay some of the outlying fears and concerns we all have every day. So, Katie, it's almost like it's like a big picture look here. So it's like looking at the forest and not the trees, right? So how about those who maybe have done all that Ainsley has been talking about, but they're still not very comfortable where they sit right now?
Yeah, to your point, I think if you've gone through the pieces that Ainsley outlined regarding, you've got enough liquidity on hand, nothing's really changed in your fact pattern, but you're still uncomfortable with the amount of volatility or risk, this is where you really need to reach out to your advisor and have a conversation about your risk tolerance. It is very natural that over time, our ability to stomach risk will change in either direction. And so this is when you want to talk to your advisor, because when we make these plans, we make them with risk in mind, but it doesn't mean we can't adjust the plan. But as you have this conversation around your own ability to stomach risk, make sure you're talking with your advisor about how much risk your plan can handle. Because many times what your advisor has already done is taken into consideration a variety of risk factors. And once you find out how much your risk the plan can actually stomach in terms of risk, you may actually find that you're more confident and much more comfortable with the amount of volatility you're seeing. And those play hand in hand together. So really what this comes down to is that's at the point where you really want to reach out and talk to your advisor.
Right. And when all else fails, take a deep breath and count to 4. I'm really walking away with that piece of advice, Katie, so thank you for that. Great conversation, really important topic. Katie, thanks for being with us today, and Ainsley, thanks for coming into the studio. Good to see both of you.
Thank you.
Great.
Thanks.
See you soon. And for more information, there's a lot of content from our Chief Investment Office, of course, where Ainsley and Katie are a part of. They can, their content, I should say, can be found at ubs.com/views. And make sure to follow UBS on social media, where more of that content can be accessed: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Plus, you can check out all of our past UBS Trending episodes on demand. And as always, if you do have any questions about anything that we spoke about today when it comes to your portfolio or allaying some of those fears that you may have and those concerns, make sure to talk with a financial advisor. Until next time, I'm Anthony Pastore. We hope you have a fantastic day, and remember to keep your eyes on what's trending. See you soon.